The debate has begun and it's only getting louder. Women's college basketball has never been more exciting, and right at the center of it are two of the most electrifying players the game has ever seen, Caitlin Clark and JuJu Watkins. Caitlin Clark rewrote the history books, dominating at Iowa with an unmatched scoring ability, elite playmaking, and a competitive fire that made her must-watch television. She's now taking the WNBA by storm, proving that women's basketball is on an entirely new level. But now, there's a new name in the conversation. JuJu Watkins is coming. Watkins, the sensational sophomore guard at USC, is proving that she isn't just following in Clark's footsteps, she's carving out her own legendary path. With jaw-dropping performances, historic stats, and a natural ability to dominate in every aspect of the game, the question is no longer if she can be the next great player, but rather, is JuJu Watkins already outshining Caitlin Clark? Some say Clark's impact is untouchable. She brought more eyes to women's basketball than any player before her. Others argue that Watkins is just getting started, and by the time she's done, she could be even bigger than Clark. The rivalry is brewing, the comparisons are heating up, and the game is changing before our very eyes. So, is JuJu Watkins the new face of women's basketball? Or are we about to witness a battle for the crown that will take the sport to another level? Let's break it all down. Caitlin Clark's greatness is undeniable. She finished her college career with 3,951 points, making her the all-time leading scorer in NCAA women's basketball history. Her ability to pull up from anywhere on the court, dish out insane assists, and take over games made her a generational talent. But JuJu Watkins, she's already doing things Clark never did at this stage of her career. In just her freshman season at USC, Watkins averaged 27.1 points per game, higher than Clark's freshman average at Iowa. She followed that up with an incredible sophomore season, proving that she's only getting better. Watkins isn't just a scorer, she's a two-way force. While Clark's offensive game is legendary, she was often criticized for her defensive weaknesses. Watkins, on the other hand, is proving to be a complete player, capable of scoring at will while also making game-changing plays on defense. One performance in particular set the basketball world on fire. Against UCLA, Watkins became the first Division I player in the last 20 seasons to record at least 35 points, 5 assists, and 5 blocks in a single game. That's dominance on both ends of the floor, something Clark was never known for. This is what separates Watkins. She's not just an elite scorer, she's an impact player in every aspect of the game. And here's the scary part, she's just getting started. Caitlin Clark's greatest weapon is her deep three-point shooting. She revolutionized the game by making logo-range shots a regular part of her arsenal. Defenders had to pick her up the second she crossed half-court, because if they didn't, she would make them pay from 30 feet out. But here's the difference. JuJu Watkins doesn't need to rely on three-pointers to dominate. Unlike Clark, who is primarily a perimeter shooter, Watkins is a multi-dimensional scorer. This makes her a nightmare matchup because she doesn't have one go-to move, she has an entire arsenal. Defenders can't just press up on her to stop the three like they did with Clark, because Watkins will blow by them and get to the rim. If they sag off, she'll knock down mid-range jumpers. If they try to get physical, she'll overpower them. She doesn't just score, she controls the entire game. Clark was more of a finesse player, relying on her shooting touch and IQ to beat defenders. Watkins, she's more like a young Kobe Bryant, a relentless scorer who can kill you from anywhere. This level of versatility makes Watkins an even more dangerous offensive weapon than Clark was at this stage of her career, and if she keeps refining her shot selection and efficiency, she could become the most unstoppable offensive force women's basketball has ever seen. Caitlin Clark set record after record at Iowa, but JuJu Watkins is already doing things no player, male or female, has ever done before. Clark's career was built on breaking scoring records, but Watkins' numbers suggest that she's on pace to challenge those records while also being a more complete all-around player. Her dominance at USC is already generating national buzz, with analysts comparing her to legends like Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore, and even Michael Jordan. The most shocking comparison: some analysts believe Watkins has the potential to surpass Clark as the most influential player in modern women's basketball. This isn't just hype, it's backed by numbers, eye test, and the impact she's already making at USC. And if she continues this trajectory, she might not just be the next Caitlin Clark, she might be something even greater. One of the biggest factors that could push JuJu Watkins ahead of Caitlin Clark is her physical build and athleticism. While Clark relied heavily on skill, shooting range, and court vision, Watkins brings an entirely different level of physical dominance to the game. At 6 feet 2 inches, Watkins is a bigger, stronger, and more explosive athlete than Clark was in college. Her ability to absorb contact, finish at the rim, and out-muscle defenders gives her a major advantage over smaller guards. Unlike Clark, who had to use craftiness and deep shooting to create space, Watkins can bully defenders, get into the paint, and score at will. Defensively, Watkins is already ahead of where Clark was in college. Clark was often criticized for being a liability on defense, struggling to keep up with quicker guards and lacking the strength to battle bigger opponents. Watkins, on the other hand, is a two-way force. Her length and athleticism allow her to guard multiple positions, disrupt passing lanes, and protect the rim in ways that Clark never could. This physical dominance could be what ultimately separates Watkins from Clark long-term. Clark revolutionized the game with her shooting and playmaking, but Watkins is proving that she has the all-around skill set and body type to be unstoppable in every aspect of the game. If she continues to refine her jump shot and efficiency, she could enter the WNBA as an even more complete player than Clark was upon leaving college. Basketball isn't just about skill, it's about mentality, and Watkins has already shown that she has the killer instinct of the all-time greats. She doesn't just want to win, she wants to dominate. Clark had a fiery personality on the court, and that intensity made her a fan favorite and a nightmare for defenders. But Watkins, she has that same competitive fire with an even bigger edge. She plays with a level of confidence and swagger that demands attention. She knows she's the best player on the floor, and she carries herself like someone who is on a mission to prove it every night. Her performance against UCLA was the perfect example of this mentality. She didn't just put up big numbers, she took over the game in every possible way. She wasn't afraid to attack the best defenders, make clutch plays, and impose her will on both ends of the court. This mindset is something that separates good players from superstars. The greatest athletes in history, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore, all had that extra gear, that ability to take games over and crush the opposition when it mattered most. Watkins has already shown signs of having that exact same mentality. While Clark was known for her competitive fire, Watkins' combination of physicality, skill, and mindset might give her an even higher ceiling. If she continues to develop this edge, she could enter the WNBA as one of the most feared competitors in the league. Even though she's still in college, NBA and WNBA scouts are already buzzing about JuJu Watkins' potential. Some have even said she could be the best player to enter the WNBA since Breanna Stewart. What's making scouts so excited? It's the combination of everything she brings to the table. Size, scoring ability, athleticism, defensive skills, and leadership. Unlike many college stars who dominate at the NCAA level but struggle to translate their game to the pros, Watkins is seen as someone who has a WNBA-ready game right now. Scouts are particularly impressed by her ability to adapt. She's already playing in one of the most competitive conferences in college basketball, facing elite defenders every night, and she's still putting up historic numbers. Her ability to adjust to different styles of play and impact the game in multiple ways suggests that she will have no problem stepping into the WNBA and making an immediate impact. There's also a growing belief that Watkins could be the key to pushing the WNBA into an even bigger mainstream spotlight. Clark has already boosted interest in women's basketball like never before, but adding Watkins into the mix, especially if they develop a rivalry at the pro level, could take the league to unprecedented heights. Some scouts are even saying that Watkins' ceiling is higher than Clark's because of her two-way ability. While Clark will always be a legendary offensive player, Watkins has the tools to become one of the most dominant all-around players the league has ever seen. If Watkins continues on this trajectory, she won't just be the next Caitlin Clark, she'll be the next generational superstar who changes the entire game. The media plays a huge role in shaping basketball debates, and right now, they are fueling the rivalry between JuJu Watkins and Caitlin Clark. Every time Watkins puts up a historic performance, the comparisons to Clark explode across social media, sports talk shows, and online discussions. This is exactly how great rivalries are built. Just like the Magic Johnson versus Larry Bird debate in the NBA, the Clark versus Watkins conversation is taking over women's basketball. Fans are picking sides, arguing over who's better, and investing emotionally in every game they play. Sports analysts are already hyping up Watkins as the next face of women's basketball, while Clark remains the biggest star in the sport right now. This means that every accomplishment, every record, and every milestone from both players will be scrutinized and compared. The media loves a rivalry, and right now, they are shaping this one into something that could carry women's basketball for the next decade. Some fans believe that this forced comparison is unfair, as both players have different play styles and different strengths. Others believe that Watkins is on pace to surpass Clark, and that it's only a matter of time before she proves that she's the more dominant force. No matter where you stand, one thing is clear. This rivalry is only getting bigger, and the media is making sure that every basketball fan is paying attention. Caitlin Clark has already proven her ability to draw massive audiences, setting viewership records and selling out arenas everywhere she goes. But now, JuJu Watkins is doing the same thing, and her rise is bringing in a different wave of fans to the sport. Clark's popularity is fueled by her deep shooting, playmaking, and underdog mentality. She became a national sensation because of her flashy style, her fiery competitiveness, and the fact that she dominated at a smaller school like Iowa, where she put the entire program on the map. Watkins, on the other hand, is creating her own movement. She's leading a historic basketball program at USC, playing in the heart of Los Angeles, a city known for producing basketball superstars. She's appealing to a younger generation of fans, many of whom grew up watching Kobe Bryant and love her aggressive scoring mentality. If Clark is bringing in the traditional basketball purists, Watkins is bringing in the new age fans who love athleticism, versatility, and highlight reel plays. This is exactly what the WNBA needs. Multiple stars bringing in different fan bases, pushing the league to new levels of popularity. Watkins isn't just following Clark's path, she's creating her own legacy, and she's drawing in a whole new crowd while doing it. The WNBA is fully aware that Clark and Watkins are their two biggest superstars in the making. They know that these two players are going to define the next era of women's basketball, and they are already planning how to market their rivalry and maximize their impact. Clark's entry into the WNBA has already boosted ticket sales, viewership, and league-wide attention. But if Watkins enters the league with just as much hype, the WNBA will have something they've never had before, a true superstar rivalry that fans can follow for years. Clark is expected to dominate from day one in the WNBA, but by the time Watkins arrives, she could be even more polished and ready for the spotlight. The WNBA is also in expansion mode, looking to add new teams and grow its influence. Clark and Watkins will be the two biggest faces of this expansion, helping push the league into mainstream sports culture in ways never seen before. The NBA took off in the 1980s because of Magic vs. Bird. The WNBA could experience a similar boom if they handle the Clark vs. Watkins rivalry the right way. This isn't just about individual greatness, it's about the future of women's basketball and how these two superstars can take the league to unprecedented heights. The final question remains, can JuJu Watkins actually surpass Caitlin Clark as the greatest women's basketball player of this generation? Clark's legacy is already cemented in history. She's the all-time leading scorer in NCAA women's basketball, she's breaking records in the WNBA, and she's bringing unmatched attention to the sport. She has already done things that no other player in history has accomplished. But Watkins is still writing her story. She's on pace to break records of her own, and she has a more complete skill set at this stage of her career than Clark did at the same point. If Watkins continues to develop, dominates in college, and enters the WNBA as a true two-way superstar, she could build a case as the better all-around player. However, surpassing Clark's cultural impact will be a bigger challenge. Clark didn't just play basketball, she changed the way people watch women's basketball. She made casual fans tune in, she got major brands invested in the sport, and she opened doors for future players like Watkins to thrive in an even bigger spotlight. Watkins has the potential to carry that momentum forward, but to truly surpass Clark, she will have to deliver on the biggest stages, win championships, and continue breaking records. The stage is set. The rivalry is real. And the basketball world is watching closely to see if JuJu Watkins will be the one to take Caitlin Clark's throne.